Hey there, my friend, welcome. And you may have clicked on this video because you're struggling with a scattered mind. In the modern world, in the first world, we have notifications blasting us every single second of the day. And it's not just our phones, it's also our minds. Our minds have become so conditioned to constantly spark up thoughts and distractions. While you're trying to work on something, you should check your phone. You should check the stock market. Oh, you should check crypto. Oh, let's see if she texted you back. And all those thoughts are just programs that continue to run subconsciously. And the more that you listen to them, the more that you pay attention to them, the more ingrained they become in your brain. It's a pathway that you built, and it's built there forever. And so you have to be careful what pathways you're building, what circuitry that you're wiring in your brain. And that's where distractions come in, because really, even thoughts themselves are distractions. Imagine living as a farmer back in the 1900s. You had acres of land. You woke up in the morning, all you heard was the birds chirping. There was no phone to notify you of anything. It was just a rooster to wake you up. That's the only notification that you got. And then maybe it was a bell to come back for dinner later in the day from your wife. Imagine a no noisy world, a low notification world. Imagine the movements, how you would move through life if you had a still mind. If you woke up and you tended to the animals, you went and fixed the fence out in the yard, you went and milked the cows, there would be nothing swaying you, thinking about, oh, maybe I should, try to you're comparing yourself to other people immediately. Oh, I need to get ahead. I feel behind. There would be no feeling. There would be no sense of feeling behind because there would be no comparison. It would just be your life. Imagine the peace that somebody felt. Because ultimately, it's not the money, it's not the like what we possess that makes us happy. It's how our inner environment is played out. That's what it is. Like, what do we feel inside? What is that sensation? And so the beautiful thing is that you can recreate it. You can recreate that peace inside as if you're waking up in acres of land on the farm with no distractions. You can actually create that environment. You don't need your phone. That's the crazy thing about it. You actually don't need it, especially in the first few hours of the day. Like, how can you create stillness in your life? Because I personally believe that there's a mass agenda to create fear, anxiety into the masses. And they do that by fear mongering, propaganda, and creating enemies and division against other from group to group of other people. But in reality, it's just perception. That's actually not true. And perception is reality. And if you learn to zoom out and step out and look at the playing field, in reality, if you show up to the mall or if you go to church, you say hi to somebody that's different than you, there's going to be no animosity. But the animosity exists because of the perception that we have in the digital world. But it's actually not real. It's not there. And if we learn to step out and create that stillness and understand that all these things are just distractions, even your own thoughts are distractions, you can actually slow down. Because as soon as a thought arises through into your conscious mind, that thought creates a sensation in the body that causes you to act. But those two things, the thought and the sensation, there's a time in between each of those. There's time that occurs. And if you learn to slow down the time between thought and impulse, that's where freedom is. You're no longer subject to your own subconscious mind. You're no longer running on autopilot. You're actually in control. See, you consciously as a human being have that gap. No other animal has that gap. They rely purely on instinct. An instinct just happens, they go and act on it, which is a good thing in many cases, right? Many of us human beings don't act on our instincts well enough because we don't really understand them. But right now, we're impulsively reacting to what comes into our world. And so I think the skill of the 21st century is going to be how to simplify our lives, how to declutter the noise that's coming in. It's so overwhelming that it doesn't allow you to be your best self, because it doesn't allow you to have your best thoughts. How can you be your best self if you don't have your best thoughts? And your best thoughts are only going to come through stillness. That's why when you relax, that's why when you take a nice warm shower with your phone away, you start thinking. Amazing ideas come your way because you are naturally that. As a human, you are naturally a creator. You are creative by nature. But the only way to receive inspiration is to block out the outputs. It's to block out the inputs into your brain and finally let those outputs come through you. But if you don't give yourself the opportunity, then how will they ever come? And so it's about slowing down and being very conscious of the inputs that you have coming through you and into you. And when you do that, you don't have to seek for creativity. It's all already within you, because you were made in the likeness and image of a creator, of God. And by nature, you are creative. You just have to tap in, connect. And the only way to do that is to block out the noise. And so it's also about blocking the noise inside your mind, because your mind is so conditioned to notifications that if you turn off your phone notifications, your mind will start notifying you. And so that's where meditation comes in, a stillness, a practice to allow you to just calm, to observe. And if you can sit in silence for 10 minutes every single day, I promise you your life is going to change. Your life literally will change. You sit there in silence, and what happens is that for the first minute or two, your brain is going to start throwing things at you. Oh, you should check this, your phone. And it's going to make you feel like it's so urgent that you have to go and check it. But if you just observe the sensation that arises in your body that's causing you want to go and act on it, but you don't, then eventually your mind is going to say, I guess it's not that important, and it stops notifying you, because you are communicating to your mind that this is the most important thing, the present moment, right now, the stillness that you have. And if you train that day in, day out, eventually, when you're out and about in your day, when you're at work, trying to get something done, and something arises into your conscious window of awareness that says, ooh, here's a distraction, you've learned to recognize the gap. And that's the superpower. You recognize the gap from thought to impulse, and you don't react anymore. And now you're fully in control of your actions. You're no longer on autopilot. That's true freedom right there. See, they want you to believe that freedom is you being able to do whatever you want and be able to act carelessly and just chase pleasure and hedonistic activities, if you will. That's not freedom. Most of the time, people that are chasing pleasure are simply subject to their own impulses. They're a slave to their own impulses. Because really, a life that is not filled with pleasure, that is filled with fulfillment, that is filled with stillness, that's a life that's worth living. Because it never ends. Impulses never end. And if you continue to chase your animalistic desires of having sex and drinking and sugar, carbs, all the easy things that all animals can't resist, then you're just simply reducing yourself to an animal, a meaningless human life. Because all meaningful human life comes through creative work. And now, the beauty of the internet, we can all be that creator for our own lives. We can all decide how we can create, how we can move forward. We all possess the tools to create freedom in our lives, but the only way is to tap into here, into yourself. So I hope this video gives you some stillness and some perspective on how literally your life actually depends on you finding stillness every single day. I recommend meditation. I recommend breath work. Those two things have been the absolute game changers for me. And comment below if you have any other questions. But all right, peace and love, my friend. I love you, and I'll see you next time.